Welcome to the Clubhouse on a Saturday night. Thanks to the 50upclub.com. And now, here's your host with the most, Glenn Wheeler.
Oh, lovely stuff. Thank you for that. I just thought a little bit of spontaneous applause might be nice. The Clubhouse. A new part of our Saturday nights between 6 and 7 p.m. And we're going to have some fun because the 50 Up Club is now sponsoring the Clubhouse on Saturday nights. And what we'll do is we'll still talk about things that are going on in and around Sydney, as well as hearing about issues relative to the fact that, as we discussed last week on the program, that people aged 50 and up are a very significant and powerful group of Australians who deserve better deals. And so we were having a talk about this during the week and thought, well, why not dedicate part of Saturday nights to talking about this very issue? And, of course, you would be aware by now of the fact that Macquarie Radio Network has partnered with One Big Switch to create the 50 Up Club. And I know many of you have jumped on board, which is terrific, but please tell your friends, get others involved. Now is the time to join up. It's all about helping people over 50 to get the discounts that they deserve. And as I said last week, when I first heard about this, I thought, oh, yeah, that sounds like a good thing. Hang on, I'm part of this. At 53 years of age, I'm part of the 50 Up Club. You register at 50upclub.com, and all you've got to, it costs nothing. And then they'll put the power of the people to work on providers of things like energy, insurance, retirement savings, finance, more and more ways to get better deals. Registration is very simple, it's easy, it's quick, and most importantly, it's free, folks. Yes, absolutely free. The more people that join 50 Up Club, the more buying power the club will gain. It's as simple as that. And when I was talking to the team at 50 Up during the week, the numbers had hit, I think, just over 30,000 people, which is just phenomenal. So the discounts, the special offers, the better deals, they'll be coming soon. So tell your friends, if you're already on there, tell family members, get people involved, 50upclub.com. As I say, tonight we'll talk about issues to do with 50 Ups, but we'll also be doing our regular roundup of real estate. It's been another busy day on the real estate front, and finding out about a couple of other things that are happening in Sydney over this weekend. But first up, I thought we would talk to the Age Discrimination Commissioner, Susan Ryan, because who better to talk to about the fact that there's a group of people who tend to be overlooked than the Age Discrimination Commissioner. Susan Ryan, good evening and welcome to the show tonight.
Good evening, Glenn.
Thank you for your time. I guess a good place for us to start in talking to someone like yourself is, what does an Age Discrimination Commissioner do? What sorts of projects do you look into? I guess they're many and varied.
Well, I do a range of things, but what I'm really trying to do, Glenn, is cut down on the age discrimination we see in Australian society, particularly in the workforce. Many members of the 50 Up Club would have found that they've had discrimination because of their age. As they get into their mid-50s, their late 50s, if they lose a job, they find it really hard to get another one. People find that they don't get the services and products they require. So my job is to draw attention to it, sometimes to talk to government or parliament about needing to change some laws, and of course reminding people that if they are directly discriminated against on the basis of age, there is an Age Discrimination Act, and they can bring complaints to the Australian Human Rights Commission about that discrimination. So it's an education job, it's an advocacy job, and of course I commission research and try to get a really clear picture of what's happening for the 50 plus.
I see that you've got a very clear picture of this, because the product invisibility research paper, and I've had a look through this during the week, is quite extraordinary in terms of the stats that are there about the 50 plus group, and you might like to just share some of those with us. Yes,
well, if you for example, of people over 65 in Australia, that's over 14% of the population. But then, if you go and look at how much advertising mentions that huge age group, you find only 4.7% are ever mentioned in advertising.
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
And the same, and very low numbers in editorial and media. And we looked at all the media, everything, radio, of course, television, newspapers, magazines, social media. And even though this is such a large part of our population, such a diverse active and in some cases a very affluent part, they're just being left out of advertising.
A forgotten people, Susan.
Yeah, well, that's right. But I think, initiatives like the 50 Up Club are certainly going to make sure that a number of businesses are reminded of this huge potential market that's there, just waiting for them to do business with.
Why though, in this day and age when we're very business savvy and we've got all the mod cons and all the technical bits and pieces to keep us in touch with everything from a business perspective, why is it that big business has seemingly turned a blind eye to this very powerful bunch of people who not only have enormous buying power, but I guess enormous lobbying power as well as a group?
Well, they do have both of those things, and why businesses have been so slow to catch up to the realities of living in Australia in 2013 is a hard question to answer. I think just a lot of business practices are quite conservative in some ways. They take a while to say, well, who's the market? Who's the community? Who's going to want this product? How do we appeal to them? And they've been slow to pick up on the fact that, not only are we a large part of the population, but we're growing every day.
Yeah.
More people turn 50, more people turn 60. And the other thing that business decision makers are slow to sort of cotton on to is that most people are very healthy and active right through their 70s. And many beyond that. The idea that sort of once you're 60 or you're 65, it's all downhill.
Yeah. No way.
No way.
Hello?
No way. And if you look at what older people are doing in the community, some of them are running their own businesses, or still working, or they're running community services, they're volunteering, and they're certainly doing a great deal for their children and grandchildren, their clubs, so it's just... I get very frustrated because I know what the reality is, and I'm sure your listeners do too, and yet we haven't got business to focus on. This is Australia 2013. There are a lot of opportunities. Why don't you start looking at targeting your product and services to this huge group of potential consumers?
Yeah, absolutely right. For the benefit of the listeners, 131873, I'm happy to take calls too tonight from anyone that's listening to us now who may have a story that you'd like to share with us about age discrimination in particular. We're talking 50 up. What scenario have you found yourself in maybe looking for a job or just in any business transaction maybe that you've been discriminated against or at least not even looked upon favourably because, of your age, or it appears to you anyway that because of your age. Susan, as you just said before when you were talking about the workforce, I was talking to somebody recently, a fellow who he chose to retire at 60 years of age. Well, as he put it, he said, I retired at 60 because my intention was to still remain in the workforce, but I just wasn't going to stay in that job that I'd been in for most of my life. And he was going to go and do a bit of work, on a part-time basis, as he put it, but he was prepared to just put himself out there and have a crack initially. And if he got some full-time work, then he was prepared to take it. He just wanted a change of pace after a long career in one particular company. And as he put it to me, he said, for someone who had been gainfully employed all of his life to suddenly find that he was now going to look for a job, and he thought that it would be relatively easy because of his skills and because of his knowledge and all the things that you think would tick all the boxes, he said it was extraordinary. Job after job after job where he said it reeked of, no, sorry, pal, you're too old. We just don't want someone of your age group. You must see that all the time.
I do see it all the time. And look, it's such a waste. It's terrible for the individual, like your friend, getting knockbacks again and again. It's a shocking experience, and sometimes people really need that job. They haven't got big savings or anything.
That's it.
But it's also a complete waste for our society. We've got all these skilled, experienced, people who've been very successful in the workforce. Why are we discarding them? And any growing business says, the CEO will say, we haven't got enough talented people. Where are the skills? We need to bring skilled people in from overseas. We've got a shortage. Well, you haven't got a shortage. You just have to look around you and make it clear that a person in their 50s or even in their 60s will be considered for a job if they've got the right skills and experience to do it.
That's it. And quite often, common sense, I guess, suggests that many of those people are going to make great employees because they aren't young, they're not going through the family life routine, they might have a few savings, they've got more stability.
Well, they've got more stability and they know what they want to do. They understand the relationship, employer-employee relationship very well because they've been a part of the workforce for a long time. They have a lot to offer. And a lot of the things that employers fear, they feel, older people, they might take more sick days. The facts show they don't. They take fewer sick days than the other age groups. They can't learn new things. Our business is going through an upgrade. We're putting in new systems. They won't be able to learn it. Again, the facts show if you offer a person the training opportunity to upgrade, he or she will grab it and do it because they understand that businesses change and improve all the time. So a lot of the things that are holding employers back from giving people like your friend a go are actually outdated stereotypes. So we've just got to get the facts out there.
Well, the 50 Up Club, one day there'll be so many of us that when we all gather in Macquarie Street or wherever we gather to lobby for various things, we're going to be a formidable force. That's what I love about this whole concept, the fact that it seems to have taken us, you wonder why it's taken us this long to realise it, but I guess because we are a significantly rapidly growing group of people, it just suddenly becomes obvious that, hang on, we should be banding together because there are other benefits to be had here, not just in the workforce, but from energy suppliers and telcos and all the rest of it, to start to give us a little bit more attention. As you said in that product invisibility research, that previously is being overlooked and we're just being lumped in with everyone else.
That's right, and it's a very well targeted group because it's once people hit their 50s that they start to realise that actually there is age discrimination, that they are being left out of everything. If you ask a 30-year-old, is there age discrimination? They'll say, I don't think so. No, I'm not aware of it. But suddenly people are experiencing it and thinking, well, what's going on?
Yeah. And to put it in...
it's a great movement, I think.
It is a fabulous concept. And to use golfing parlance, we are, when you hit that 50 mark, you're playing on the back nine. So, not to make too fine a point of it here, but we're not getting any younger. And more the reason I always think, as I used to say regularly to my mum and dad, mum's still kicking around at 87 years of age, and I always used to say to mum and dad, well, I understand as I've got older why when you hit that 50 mark, you want to make this back nine, you want to make it significant for all the right reasons. You want to be heard, you want to be attended to, you want to be looked after. You want to be a voice that just doesn't get glossed over because, I'm sorry, you're an old bugger now, go away.
Well, that's right, and you know a thing or two.
That's it.
You get to 50, you've seen a few things in life, you've done a few things, you've had your successes, your failures, you've seen things come and go, and in Australia in terms of the economy. I mean, it's just an accumulated sort of wisdom and knowledge that you don't want to waste, and a lot of people who hit 50 are going to live for their 100, We're living longer all the time.
Yeah, great. Bring it on.
Bring it on. So you hit 50, you say, okay, that's the first 50 years. What am I going to do for the next 50?
Yeah, fantastic. As I often say to friends when they say, what are your plans in relation to retirement? I say, well, I actually don't have any because... And I think a lot of people, we think differently to how maybe our own parents used to think in terms of retirement because we do plan on working a bit longer, maybe not as hard, but we still plan on working longer because we want to use those skills and that experience, as you so rightly say, in enjoying life and sustaining a standard of living and fun. I love that fun word. I like to have fun.
And, because of advances in medical science, we're healthier than our parents used to be at this age.
Yep.
We've been lucky enough to have better education. We've had better, opportunities in the workforce than our parents might have had. So, we're still going and we want to keep going right through and be an active contributing part of the whole scene.
My word. Now, listen, just in closing, Susan, has the Age Discrimination Commissioner joined 50 Up Club yet?
Well, I haven't actually joined it, but I've heard a lot about it.
We'll need to get you onto that website, 50upclub.com.
Yeah, that's right.
We need everyone we can possibly get. We've all got a solidarity here, us over 50s.
Okay.
Thank you, Susan.
I'm sure you'll recruit a few more tonight. I'm sure your listeners will be rushing to their computers.
Yeah, good stuff. Listen, thank you for giving us some time to talk to us tonight.
My pleasure.
Susan Ryan there, the Age Discrimination Commissioner, and it's quite extraordinary, isn't it? The Product Invisibility Research paper, it's a very significant paper, which I read through during the week, but amazing to think that a group of people who are so large in number can be so small in terms of attention that we get from various sectors of the business community and the advertising world, etc. Remarkable. 21 minutes after 6. Hello there, Liz.
Hi, Glenn. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
My husband was recently made redundant because his company, or the company for which he worked, was bought out by a European company, and they need cash flow.
Uh-huh.
So they basically said, reduce the bottom line by X, and anybody who was higher than a certain level, but not right at the top, was removed. So 150 people were just let go.
Oh, dear.
Now, for him at 59, with special skill sets and special qualifications, you go out looking for a job. But then even when there's one there that looks like it's suited to you, there's a medical that's designed for 26-year-olds. When you fail that, they say, well, you're going to have to go for another medical.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, you're not up to scratch. You didn't pass the mark.
Because, let's face it, you're not in the same state when you were 26.
Yeah, a bit hard to compete with the young fellow that's in his 20s or early 30s.
Exactly, but none of those kids, those people, have the kind of skill set that you need for this job.
Yeah.
You're only going to find it in somebody who has at least the experience he has or thereabouts. So you've got to be in your 50s to be able to hold down this job.
Liz, that is exactly the point that Susan Ryan was making there in relation to age discrimination. Exactly that point, that there's your husband, case in point, he's got all the experience in the world, he could do the job, no problem at all, but they've geared the interview and the process towards a younger person and he misses out as a result.
And they don't provide exactly the stuff that they say, or the 26-year-old will not have the skill set because you can't have at that age. Nobody's ever used you for those positions.
Yeah, exactly.
You won't fulfil the requirements that are in the advertisement.
Yeah, good luck with the job hunting for him. Listen, have you joined up, 50 Up Club?
We're just in the process at the moment.
Well done. Jump on that website. Well done. It's quick. It's easy to do. 50upclub.com. This is 2GB, the Clubhouse, on a Saturday night with thanks to 50upclub.com. Yeah, that's the place, 2GB873, and my name's Glenn Wheeler. Good to have your company on this Saturday night. The Clubhouse is what we do now between 6 and 7 on a Saturday night. Janelle Bloom will join us after 7, as she regularly does for My Kitchen, and then after 8 o'clock, well, all hell breaks loose when we just go hell for leather until midnight. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun night, as a matter of fact. Now, Barry is on the line, and Barry has a slightly different story in relation to discrimination. It's all got to do with your impeccable driving record, Barry. You might like to tell us the story.
Yeah, hi, Glenn. Thanks for having me on the Clubhouse tonight, mate.
Yeah, no worries at all.
It was, just one of those, I suppose I call it funny little incidents. After driving for, 50 years.
Yeah.
Not an accident, so I've been lucky or careful, one or the other.
No, hang on. You're a good driver, Barry.
Oh, very young one too. And settling in for retirement this year, I decided that last August I'd upgrade to a new vehicle because the one I had was not old, but it was 2006 model, and always looked after pretty well. But anyway, cut a long story short, what happened about 5 days before I was due to pick up the lovely new vehicle, this young fellow decided that he was a bit impatient and turned in front of me on a lane and two-lane traffic, so smash-o.
Kaboom.
Kaboom. Now, the course of moral of the story is if you've driven for 50 years, you've probably had insurance, which we've had for that long. Most of that was actually with NRMA insurance.
Yep.
And,
so you've been a long-standing, loyal...
long-standing. Like 40, they just sent me the roadside membership saying 41 years I've been a member of that.
Yeah.
So,
Congratulations. Well done.
Paid NRMA a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the point. The point of the exercise was...
So, hang on, you're going to tell me that they responded magnificently. They sent a limousine out for you. They gave you the red carpet treatment. They said, Barry, what can we do to help? Because you've been a fabulous customer for many, many years, and we've loved your premiums over all this time. Let us help you. Is that what happened?
Mate, no.
What happened?
In a word, look, I was sent to the preferred smash repair dealer after agreed values being put on these vehicles on your insurance. I suppose my first point there is not experienced this. So I learnt that agreed values really, in the insurance company's eyes, aren't really what they say in their little book, which is their assessment of the vehicle's value at the time of the accident. Well, they assessed that my agreed value I had actually was $14,500, which was a little bit on the high side. The repairer said it was going to be $7,000 to fix it. And interestingly enough, at the time of the accident, just about everybody that stopped to make sure everybody was all well, which thankfully everybody was, including the young fella. Yeah. Even the police officer said, this will be a write-off. And I'm thinking, well, I've got this new car coming. That's probably the best thing that could happen. I'm not worrying about the 14.5, but I don't want the issue of having to get the thing repaired and then have to find a home for it, because it was going to be a trade-in. Yeah. So it went to the repair dealer. I rang NRMA and said, look, before you start the repairs, the guys indicated there's $7,000 worth of repairs. I've told them the story about the new car. Why don't you just write it off? No, we can't do that. Look, just let me check with one of the supervisors. So it went on after about 3 calls, and finally did talk to one of the supervisors. I vented my sort of little bit of concern of their attitude, I suppose. I was going to save them money. Yeah. As it turned out, the actual repair cost ended up being over $10,000. So what ended up happening, I had to refinance to get the new car, because the people selling me the new car said, look, we don't really want to wait until this thing's repaired and then trade it in. They obviously didn't want to trade it in repaired vehicle. NRMA's response to that was, but we give a lifetime guarantee the repairs.
So what?
So what? Exactly. And anyway, so I ended up actually refinancing for the new vehicle. When we finally got the other one repaired and got it back, I then had to go through the hassle of getting rid of it. In the interim period, as I say, through phone calls to NRMA. And look, seriously, they really did not want to listen to what I was saying. Yeah.
So your 40-odd years of
50 years of driving.
Yeah, 50 years of driving, 41 years with road service, and being part of the NRMA, and how many years of paying premiums?
Since I was driving.
Yeah, so there we are. Many thousands and thousands of dollars, and correct me if I'm wrong, did you say not one accident in that time?
Not one accident.
So not one claim?
Not one claim.
You've cost them nothing?
Not a cent. Not a brass razor.
You have been an asset as opposed to a liability when it comes to NRMA insurance, and yet when push comes to shove, they couldn't give a bugger.
Bottom line, they were very courteous, not that helpful, because, and I even spoke to the repair company and asked them to talk to the assessor and explain that, which he did, but the assessor obviously just went back to the claims department, and the supervisor that I'd spoken to said, no, we've already said that we can't write it off. Yeah. So, I think probably, look, the other part of it, I suppose, from where I sat with it, was that sadly today we do live in this legal world we all live in, and quite frankly, I think there's too many large companies out there that are just plain rotten scared to maybe make an exception and say, okay, Barry, we'll write the thing off. You haven't got a problem. The $7,000 will be sorted out with whatever, and go from there. I think they're just worried that the fact that it was agreed value of 14.5, that I was going to send the solicitor down to their department and say, hey, hang on, you only paid $7,000. It was really 14.5.
Yeah. Good. Two words missing, Barry. Common sense.
No, that's exactly right.
And
doesn't apply.
And, unfortunately, they're missing from many, many transactions and negotiations that go on in day-to-day life. Thank you for sharing that story with us. It's a fascinating one, and I'll bet you're not Robinson Crusoe in terms of customer loyalty. There's an example of customer loyalty with the NRMA, but I reckon that story could be told over and over again in relation to banks, with telcos, insurance companies generally. there'd be a stack of them. We often wonder.
Well,
I often wonder, and I'm sure most of us do, what that whole issue of loyalty means in 2013.
The ironic part of it is that you still get all the phone calls and emails and all the rest from these insurance and telcos and so on, lobbying for your business. But when push comes to shove, unfortunately, that's where that common sense and that...
that's it. You were treated the same as the bloke that bought a policy yesterday for the first time.
Exactly right.
Good on you. Thanks for the call, Barry. 131873 is our number. It's 27 minutes to 7. Now, Val, you've got an age discrimination story to share with us tonight.
I certainly do.
Tell us about it.
Mine's in regards to employment. I graduated from university in 2002. I had been the undergraduate rep on the Board of Trustees at the university while a student.
Yeah.
A week after I graduated, I was offered a position with New South Wales Justice Health as a project officer working with Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal male and female offenders released back into the community on parole on the methadone program. I did that. I was tenured to the position for 14 months and I was nominated as a finalist in the New South Wales Baxter Healthcare Awards.
You sound like you're ticking all the boxes so far.
Well, when it came time, they were successful in gaining another 4-year funding for the project. And when it was time to apply for our positions, I was denied a position. So from there, the manager at a probation and parole office offered me a position as a case manager. And I worked for them in a temporary position for about 6 years. Then from that position, I then moved into the Aboriginal Client Support Officer position, not being Aboriginal myself, but at that time there was no other person qualified to do the job. So I took the role on. I did that for about 2 years. Then they'd found an Aboriginal person to take that spot. So from there I moved then into a transitional house, working with female offenders, either on bail or waiting to go to court.
Yep.
And I was in that position for just over 12 months, and then suddenly my contract was cancelled and I was terminated. I was about 63 at the time.
Oh, hang on, you're too old.
Well, might be an age, but...
you had all that experience, Val. You had all that experience. You had all the qualifications, but no, I'm sorry. Thanks for coming. You're too old. We can't have a 63-year-old doing that.
Yeah, and then I went for a position in domestic violence service, having come from an experience of that myself, plus my studies. I thought I would be able to be a good worker there. And I was interviewed by 2 middle-aged women, and I was told what fabulous experience and skills I have. But do you mind me asking how old you are?
Oh, no.
And that was it.
Oh, dear.
So now I work casually for the Department of Education as an assistant transport officer, escorting children with disabilities to and from school. But that's only in school term time.
Well, listen, good on you. I mean, you, in spite of all of that, you haven't lost your desire and that yearning to remain part of the workforce and to be able to contribute when you've got so much to contribute as someone with the skills and the knowledge and the experience that you've got. But isn't it a shame that it becomes so pointed in the end? Do you mind asking how old you are? What does it matter?
Yeah, I know.
Who cares?
I know. I was stunned when they asked me that.
Dear,
in fact, one of the ladies that had interviewed me said, "Oh, I thought you were around about my age." So here was another woman of my age judging me to be too old.
Unreal. Have you joined 50 Up yet?
Yes, I certainly have, and I'm also joining the Seniors United Party. And I'd urge any other person out there, we have to stand up and be counted. We can't just be quiet like we have been over the years.
Well, there's a lot of us, Val, and I think the 50 Up Club is waking us up to the fact that we could become a very formidable group to be reckoned with down the track.
I think so. Great lobby group and a great political party if everybody gets involved in the Seniors Up.
You never know, we might run the country.
That's right.
Well done. Thank you, Val. Thank you for sharing your story with us tonight. This is 2GB 873. Yeah, the 50upclub.com, the Clubhouse on a Saturday night. And don't forget that we here at Macquarie Radio Network have partnered with One Big Switch to create the 50 Up Club. And as you've heard already tonight, we spoke to Susan Ryan, the Age Discrimination Commissioner, and we've had a number of people sharing stories with us about problems with loyalty, or so-called loyalty to, in one case there, NRMA.